A very good evening to everyone. I hope my voice is audible. I see a bunch of them who've already joined. Just one moment. Let me just give permissions for all of them. I think you'll be able to chat right after that. Yeah. Just let me know if you're able to hear me. Thank you. Great. Good evening, Mr. Sharath. I did see Ms. Shobana who had raised her hand. Let me know if there's anything that I can help you with, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. I see a bunch of them on chat already. Great. Okay, Ms. Vijaya, Mr. Shamji, Ms. Rupa, Mr. Shivaram, very good evening. Okay, yeah. Mr. Kamal, good evening, sir. Very good evening, Mr. Rahul, Ms. Rupali. Yeah. So we'll be starting off shortly. We're just waiting for more of the audience to join in. Um, so in the meantime, I'm sure all of you are aware of what the topic is for today, and obviously the majority of us is going to be the HR crowd itself. I'm pretty sure of that. I just want to know what are the fields, what are the possible topics that we will be covering today under the key 2023 changes. What are the things that uh, actually, brought up a change or made a significant presence while it was there. I'm not getting into 2024 yet. In fact, I would like to see that during the presentation itself. So I'll leave that to Mr. Avinash, our speaker. I'd like to mention that he is backstage. So I would just request the audience that is with us right now at the moment to use the chat and let me know what is it that you are actually looking forward to seeing in today's webinar and what you think will be covered today. So I think, for example, I can give you something like employee retention, right? What are the possible ups and downs in that specific section? So I'm just giving you an example. Feel free to use the chat, and I'd like to see some inputs there. Thank you. Okay, good to see some responses. All right. Yeah, very good evening, Mr. Hari Prasad, Ms. Tanvi, Ms. Jangam. Yeah, Ms. Shobhan, I just like to mention that yes, the voice is disabled at the moment, but the one time that we will be able to enable it is during Q&A, where it will be a fully interactive session with our speaker. So if there's anything that you'd like to directly interact with and ask questions, we'll absolutely be able to do that, ma'am. But not during the presentation since it's a webinar. Yeah. Mr. Rahul says recruitment strategies. Okay. Yes, I think we'll cover that for sure. Mr. Shivaram, what strategies are in place to attract and retain top talent in a competitive market? All right. How can you convert HR from the support function to line function? Okay, that's a rather interesting one. So Jangam, what are your new methodologies for lateral hiring or mid to senior levels for 2024? Okay. All right. Good to see some responses here. Mr. Viraj, very good evening. Okay. Audience, we will start in exactly about 2 to 3 minutes. The numbers are slowly increasing, the participants. So we'll just start in about 2 minutes. All right. Thank you all for your patience. I see a good bunch of uh, inputs on the chat. I'd like to see that coming up. Uh, just want to mention that this will be an interactive session. We also have some engaging polls as the session goes forward. So feel free to use the chat, or you can even use the QA tab. I'm sure you're able to see the QA tab, right? Must be at the bottom or top of your screen. You can use that to drop in your queries as well, be it session related, or it could even be a generic HR question. We will take that up as the session proceeds. Thank you. All right. Let us get started. Very good evening to one and all present here. Once again, thank you so much for your patience. Let me introduce myself. My name is Siddharth. I handle product marketing at the company that I represent, that is Websol. I will also be your moderator for the day. So let us move forward. Before I hand it over to the speaker and ultimately run through the slides, I would like to take you through a quick, really short presentation of the company that I represent to give you an idea of what we've been doing over the years and our product line as well. So let's move forward. So this slide will talk to you about the evolution of the company, what we've been doing over the past few decades. So we were established as the part of Wipro's domestic IT business. What this essentially means is we were the printer peripherals division manufacturing of Wipro. So we were in fact known for DMPs over back in the days, that is dot matrix printers. We were solely manufacturing DMPs back in the days. We were also into peripherals. What I mean by peripherals is your toners, cartridges, and certain significant components that are crucial for a printer's working is something that we were taking care of. And over the years, the company decided to become a separate entity itself. That is, we came out of Wipro, And we were known by the name of Web Solutions for a really long time. And in 2017, the company decided to um, expand its offerings, wherein we started getting in a digital services portfolio as well. So we have workflow automation and a few other things which I will explain as the slides move on. And the most recent and drastic change that I'd like to mention is our company recently underwent a complete rebrand exercise, rebranding. So we are now known by the name of WebSol, and we follow a very fluidic approach that is in order to basically tend to ever-changing customer and industry needs. Our solutions are also built on that basis, and we will be able to follow a very fluidic approach wherein we offer a scale, secure, save methodology. You will be able to scale your business, secure your any sort of confidential documents, and you'll also be able to ultimately save operational costs. So this is what we look at. And we also, our solutions will ultimately look at an anytime, anywhere, and any device sort of mechanism, basically remote working, which is pretty much what we have been doing over the last few years, right? So that is what we follow. So more on that, I will explain what our solutions offering is. Let me move forward. Okay, quick few highlights about our company. We come with over 23 years of industry experience. We tend to over 563 plus enterprise customers. We're present in over 2,500 service locations to be precise. We also won the Company of the Year award by CIO Tech Outlook Review for our DMS product, that is document management. More on that. And a quick few insights of our customers, some of our core customers. Please note that these are enterprise customers. We also have presence on the retail end. All right. Let me just go back. Sorry about that. Now, this is our portfolio. We go by the name FluidWorks, basically our intelligent workplace suite, under which we have different solution offerings, which again go by the name Fluid. As I mentioned earlier, our approach to things is basically fluid. So what each of these mean, I will explain that. So under FluidWorks, we have Fluid Pro, Fluid Print, Fluid Map, and Fluid Trail. So to explain each one of this, I will move on to the next slide. All right. So as I mentioned, FluidWorks is our workplace suite. Under this, we have Fluid Pro, which is basically our managed IT infrastructure service. So what this essentially means is we will be able to set up the entire IT infra service for any organization which requires IT infra itself as a main thing, main criteria. In fact, most companies will require this, right? Because you will require servers, you will require Wi-Fi access points, you will also require the ideal infrastructure for this. Now, this is something that we specialize in, and we will be able to set up and completely take care of this. We also offer 24/7 NOC support with XLAs. So this is what we do on Fluid Pro end. And what is Fluid Print? This is basically our signature offering, managed print services. What this essentially means is we will be able to take care of your entire printer infrastructure across the country. So assume that you might have a requirement of 250 to 300 printers, and this might span over different locations, right? So we'll be able to take care of that. We'll also help you with the complete setup and monitoring from a very remote place, in fact. More on that. And we are also number one in India on this part. Now, you might ask me, how is it that you charge me for these printers, right? So we will charge you on a pay per print basis and not for the printers that you are actually purchasing or renting from our side. So we will charge you on a pay per print basis. Let's move on to Fluid Map. Now, you might ask me, how do I actually manage all these printers that are being deployed, right? You need a solution that will enable you to monitor and check uptime, downtime, toner levels, cartridge levels, will it ever require service? All of this is actually monitored by a remote desktop web hosted application, that is Fluid Map. So this goes by the name of an IT asset management service, and we will deploy this on your network, and you will also have a field service executive that is exclusive to your requirement, and he or she will be able to monitor this and do a regular checkup on a periodic basis. So that is FluidMap. And lastly, we have FluidTrail, which is our workflow automation and document management solution. Now, this is something that I believe some of you HRs will be able to relate to as well. We have certain use cases, that is employee records management, candidate onboarding, appraisal management. This is something that is under the HR umbrella. We also have use cases for other departments like finance, procurement, and the most basic thing that you can do with the solution is obviously document management over the cloud or on premise. So that is FluidTrail. We also have a GST solution called FlowTax. I will not dig deep into that. We also have presence on the retail end, which I will also not be explaining. A quick gist on this is we have these POS machines that you would have seen in, most likely you would have noticed these big touchscreens in supermarkets, right? So that is something that we also tend to. We have presence on the retail end as well, and we have close to 2 lakh customers on that end. So that's it from my end. That is a quick introduction about the products and the company itself. Now, we will not be having any demo as such during the webinar. This will purely be information oriented. And before I hand it over to the speaker, I'd like to run a quick poll for all of you. Just give me one moment. All right. So just let me know if you're able to see this on your screen. Would you be interested in a free demo of our solution, that is FluidTrail? Based on your availability and requirement, we will be able to arrange a free demo of our solution. And I think in the first place, it's important for us to understand what your requirement is on the HR end, whether it is just basic document digitization, like your employee records, or is it something on the higher end, like your, for instance, employee onboarding, employee offboarding automation. That is something that we will understand and then give you a demo. I'll leave this poll on for the next 1 minute. All right. Okay. A few more seconds and I will take down the poll. Okay, great. Thank you all for your responses. Let me end the poll. Okay, so let us move forward. I'd like to introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Avinash Tyagi. A quick introduction about him. Mr. Avinash brings in over 24 plus years of experience, extending to strategic HR, business restructuring, performance management, global recruitment, and tech implementation as his areas of expertise. Having held roles as country HR head in the past for Landmark Group and various other managerial roles in other industry verticals, his experience extends by folds and adds value to those aspiring to make a difference in the field of HR and leadership. I take great pleasure in introducing him on yet another webinar with us. In fact, I think I have lost count at this point with the number of webinars which I've been doing with Mr. Avinash. We do this on a regular basis. I'm sure we have some repeat audience as well today here with us. Let me hand it over to him. I'm sure the audience is directly looking forward to hearing from you, sir. Over to you, sir, Mr. Avinash. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Siddharth, for your kind words. So it's my pleasure to interact again with our audience, and I'm sure that we will be having a very interesting session. I hope I am very loud and clear to all of you.
Yeah, audience, a quick yes or no on chat would be great. I hope you're able to hear the speaker. Okay.
Yes. So we like to keep this very interesting and interacting because most of us are from the same profession, and we'll try to learn from each other, and we'll try to share my inputs. So I try to put in my personal experience and also interaction with few of the industry leaders. And I also went through some of the HR consultants, consultancy firms also read their articles to prepare this material. I'm sure it is going to be useful for all of us. Yeah, so we'll discuss what really happened in 2023 and what we expect to happen in 2024 and what would be our strategy. How do we deal with it? So it may happen that, okay, at certain point of time, we may go slightly theoretical, because I think it's very, very important that we try to understand the problem in detail before we come to a solution, right? Next slide, please. Right, so we had been discussing for quite a long time, maybe at the beginning of this decade. So it was said that, okay, like many authors, importantly Mr. Dave Ulrich, that, okay, human resource management need to move from the transaction function to become a strategic HR partner. And in 2023, there was really a high demand for HR professional with strategic mindset and strong business acumen in India. So there was already a shift happening that, okay, the HR was considered as a strategic HR partner. That's why they were looking for the leaders, especially at the leadership position, those HR professionals who were having a strategic mindset and who understood the business. Apart from that, there was good roles, there were good demand in comp and ben. HR business partnering was also there, and compensation benefit and all this thing were the important tools, were important functions which were in demand, especially in HR. Yeah. Yes. So we also saw a good trend. I got to know few of you have also inquired about moving from industry. So there was a trend which we saw that a lot of HR, CHROs, they move from one industry to other industry. We have seen a lot of free movement happening from IT to non-IT sector, and also from retail to IT sector, hospitality, and they were, so in a nutshell, so it was not as if that, okay, once you are HR profession and you are in a particular industry, you will stick to that. We have seen that adoption happening by the both HR leaders as well as the industry, wherein that there was the movement from across the industry, right? So, and they were also, we saw that in a lot of mid-sized industry, mid-sized firms, they started establishing in-house legal teams. So earlier, what was happening? Only the large size organizations, they were having their in-house legal teams. But trend which was seen maybe 2023 was that a lot of mid-sized organizations also started having their specialized skill team members who were specialists in maybe legal terms. So they were good demand for CAs and HR professional with the law and all other exposure to law, LLB and other degrees. The other trend was that there was virtual hiring happening. So there was it was new normal in India. So apart from the face-to-face hiring, which was usually happening, so virtual hiring also started happening. So this has to do with both two things. Number one, that there were online working happening. Many of the organizations, they were working in hybrid mode, and also there was the lot of the organization, they found out that, okay, we can hire candidate by doing virtual interviews and conducting a lot of surveys, a lot of providing the psychometric tests, etc. Online. So the tech was used. I think there was some issues happening on this movement of the slide.
Yeah, just a minute. Is it okay now, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Can you go back to the slide
Sure.
prior to this?
Is that fine?
Yeah. So actually the the slides moving, it creates like resonance and disturbance.
Oh, okay.
Right. So there are two important things. We understood that, okay, that there is movement. There was a good demand for people with the skills in law, as well as the technology was being used. Right. Virtual hiring was one thing. Other trend which we saw that some of the organizations, they started outsourcing their payroll. So there were many organizations which, the startups or the organization, specialized organization, they started running payrolls for the organizations. And as I was saying earlier also, the HR is moving away from being a transactional partner to a more of a strategic partner. A lot of transactional activities are being like outsourced usually. So a lot of so the payrolling partners was a big move which was happening in India in 2023. Next slide, please. Right. So please understand one thing that, okay, during COVID time, what happened was there was skills shortage and a lot of, especially in IT sector, so a lot of hiring was happening. And I remember seeing one question, one query from one of the participants. So it was true that no, because there was skill shortage and the organizations were expanding, there was huge demand for the skilled people, and hiring happened. And because there was huge demand, so the hiring was happening at a very higher salary. So there were 50% people were demanding 50% to 100% salary increment, and the companies were paying it. So there were some many cases wherein people got almost 200% salary increment also. So they were demanding the highest salary and companies were paying it. So what happened because of that? That it led to compensation disparity. So ultimately, what because of the huge demand, skill shortages, so company was hiring left, right, and center, and people were negotiating for higher salary. So this ultimately led to the compensation disparity. So the loyal employees who stayed with the organizations, so they actually remained at the same salary or they got a slightly minimal increment, whereas the new joinees, the people who came from the external sources who were recruited from outside, they joined at a high salary. So that was a compensation disparity. This was a result of COVID time, and during 2023, a lot of organizations they try to address it, right? So they also started finding out whether the people which were hired at very high salary are they really productive or not. So because of that, there was a lot of friction happening between the employees and employers, and there were also the friction which was evident between the loyal employees and the loyal employees mean the older employees who worked with the organization and the newer employees which who joined possibly on a higher salary. There was special focus also on productivity. So because all the organizations were focusing on productivity, so it was seen that productivity in 2023 went up and ultimately cost also came down. Right. So we can have the poll now.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. So let me just launch this poll. Audience, I hope you're able to see this on your screen. Yeah. So as Mr. Avinash was just talking about loyalty and a job, the salary itself, let me just keep this poll on for the next 1 minute. Let me read it out. While choosing a new job offer, I am more likely to pick the following. I know there is also an option called others. So those of you who selected others, I'd request you to please comment on chat so that we'd like to know what is it that you are also thinking, and we'll be able to have a short debate on that as well if required. Okay, all right. We have a tiebreaker at this point. All of them are almost the same. Okay, Ms. Shobana says a reasonable salary hike with better work-life balance. Okay, all right.
Right. So good response. Right. So we are getting it is a tie break actually.
Yeah, exactly.
It keeps on moving.
Correct. And there's 5 of them who've mentioned others, sir, if you notice. So I
Yes.
think, yeah, I think we should fully hear from all the 5 of them. We have one of them, Ms. Shobana, was already mentioned. How
Yeah.
about we have the other 4 of them who can also mention on chat, explaining to why they chose others. Okay. And I'll end this poll and I'll just share the results. And Mr. Avinash, if you'd like to uh, mention some comments on this, you can go ahead, sir. And
Right. So it was like, so we have got a good audience actually. So it is diversified opinion, so which is very good for a webinar. So we don't want people with the same sort of opinion having. So we will have a diversified opinion. So the others is actually a joker in the pack here. So we don't understand what others here really mean. Possibly like Ms. Shobna was saying that, okay, she want both salary hike as well as work-life balance, right? So ultimately now I will go to the next slide and then we'll discuss on this poll.
sure, let me just stop sharing and yeah. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So you're able to see the slide, right? I moved to the next
Yes,
slide.
yes. Thank you. So there was a poll actually which was done, and then there it was found out that most of the almost 52% of the people, they are choosing the work-life balance, right? Yeah, I'm not able to see the slide.
Nothing yet? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Right, so 52% of the respondent, they listed work-life balance is more important than career progression and financial remuneration. So there is already understanding in the workers nowadays that work-life balance is very, very important. So had we done this survey possibly earlier, then possibly we would have said that, okay, salary is the most important, right? As Mr. Jangam is saying, salary is most important, right? Salary still remains a deciding factor for choosing a job, so there is no denying to it. Salary combustion benefit is number one even today. But what's happening here is that other things are also coming up. Now, it also depends on the personal choices. So there could be some people who are sacrificing the salary for better work and life, right? So earlier it was taken as a person was like no taken as a novelty, or a person who was a stranger. It was a strange behavior that somebody will pick up work-life balance instead of the salary. But that's not happening, right? So people are understanding the importance of work-life balance. So as per the survey, this is a global survey. So it says that 52% respondent is saying that work-life balance is more important than career progression, right? Now, there were other concepts also. There were other discussion which happened last year. In 2023, there was a huge debate on moonlighting, right? So I think this is the moonlighting was already there since ages, but it was not never highlighted. It came to the forefront, especially during COVID times, especially when people started working virtually, and people continued working virtually, and some of the people, they started working for more than a single employer. So moonlighting was into debate, and that it was highlighted and there was debate on that. So people, they have a diverse opinion on it. Some people feel that moonlighting should be allowed. Some people believe that moonlighting should not be allowed. So if you ask my personal opinion, I will say moonlighting is nothing wrong with moonlighting, unless and until there is a conflict of interest, right? If there is no conflict of interest and somebody want to work out of their working hours and want to engage in some other activity, which possibly may earn them slightly, uh, not maybe the same salary, but slightly some extra rupees, then there's nothing harm in moonlighting. But definitely, it should not happen that moonlighting becomes the primary source of income, and the second job becomes the first job, and the first job becomes a second or third priority. So that is not what we expect. Second, there was also a scenario. There was a huge talk about quiet quitting, because many of the workers, they were not happy at work, and it could possibly also be because of they were feeling that no, they didn't have the equity, or they were not treated fairly. Possibly they thought that the newer employees would join, they're getting higher salary. There could be any number of reasons. So ultimately, many of the people, they started not raising voices. They were not a rebel. They were not saying anything to the management. but they literally gave up on the current organization and they started searching outside. And it is a common fact, if you are looking out of the window, so then your focus on the work is slightly lesser. So that was also compromised. Some of the organizations, they started experimenting with return to office. So from maybe full-time work from home, they moved to a 50% work from home. And maybe last month or so, then many of the organizations, they said that, okay, we have to return to office 100%. So it is creating an issue, and especially this created issue with lot of working women, so who had got family as a priority. So uh, they were into two thoughts, and we saw a good number of attrition going up in working women because of return to office policy. There were also some of the organizations who came up with the concept of allowing official nap at the work. So this was already prevalent maybe in certain countries like Japan. So in India also, some of the organizations, they started experimenting and allowing the officially to the workers, so that they can take nap at the work, maybe after post lunch nap, right, to rejuvenate themselves and to re-energize themselves. The world is also moving in two different directions. So there were the talks about some of the countries and organizations moving into 4-day working weeks. So some of the Scandinavian countries also, they started, making it official that, okay, officially 4-day working week would be there. Also, our own Mr. Narayan Murthy also came up with his, the statement about 70 hours per week. So there were certain leaders who understood and who agreed with him. There were a lot of Generation Z people, Z workers, who totally disagreed with that. So these were the few of the discussion which were very interesting, and they all focus on work-life balance. Having said that, I believe that work-life balance is a concept which will remain, and possibly it will continue to be very, very important in coming years to come. Next slide, please.
So I think we can launch one more poll
Yes,
before
please.
we move to the next
Sorry,
slide.
yeah.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Okay, audience, let me know if you're able to see this on your screen. So what percentage of your employees fully comply with the on-site attendance requirement? Is it more than 85%, or do you think it's in between 60 to 85, or 50, half of it, or less than 50? I'll leave this poll on for the next 1 minute. Also, audience, I did see a bunch of them who are already responding on chat. Please, I'd like to let you know that we will take up any sort of queries that come up once we finish the presentation, that is. Okay. All right. I think I'll end the poll since it becomes stagnant, and I'll just share the results. So, Mr. Avinash, as you can see, I think majority is obviously more than 85%, clearly.
Right. So we have got good compliance.
Yeah, looks like it, sir. So, which is a good sign, right? Obviously.
Yeah. So in other way also, we see that, okay, there are almost 14 plus 38, so almost 40% people. This compliance is lesser than 85%, right?
Right.
So we'll go to the next slide.
Yeah, sure. Let me just stop sharing. And
Thank you.
yeah.
Right. So as we were discussing about unsettled employer-employee relationship, so according to the poll conducted, it said that 26% of organization report that their employee fully comply with on-site attendance requirement. So we always say in the management there is no the rat and mouse game going on. So although the organizations they try to make it no the compliance has to be on higher end, but still that we see that the worldwide only 26% of organizations are reporting that employees are complying with on-site attendance requirement. Also, there was a productivity anxiety. Nearly 50% of employees view their current performance as unsustainable. So there is always a worry, no, amid the talk of layoffs and all these things. So there is this fear which is lingering in the mind of the employees today, that okay, whether my productivity is sufficient enough, whether I will be able to retain the job or not. So uh, because of that, only 50% of the employee they trust their organization that okay, now my job is there for a long time and my organization will be treating it very fairly while keeping me. So we are understanding from this that okay, there is the conflict, there is some stress between an employer and employee relationship, uh, which is pronounced, right? Similarly, the 26% of CEO no ranked the talent shortage as a top damaging factor to the business outlook today. So when the survey was done, so they understood, they said that okay, there is a huge demand, there is huge shortage of talent. So what's happening here is, on the one hand, we are with people who are non-productive, and possibly at certain point of time we feel that okay, we want to get rid of them. On the other hand, we are not getting the right people. So there is always a skill shortage which will remain, and possibly then the organization need to address this also. Yes, next slide please. Right. So I agree there, Ms. Shobna, that okay, that possibly so this is because of the same thing, because of the skill shortage. What's happening is, when the skill shortage is very high, the organization no tend to hire people even with a lesser experience, and they tend to give them a higher salary. Because of that, there were always friction between them and the employees, the older employees, and this. Right. So what we see that also we saw that 86%, 68% of executives agree that there is going to be huge benefit of AI, and this benefit will be outweighing the risk. So everybody is like, people are skeptical about that what risk the AI could bring, but 68% of the leaders they believe that okay, the whatever risk it could bring in, but still the benefit would be far better than this the risk, right? So although we are understanding that there is a big discussion going on AI, but only 22% of HR leaders are involved in the discussion. So what's happening here is, we understand that okay, the HR is kept out of this discussion, right? So possibly they believe that okay, HR is not matured enough, or possibly they feel that the HR may not be able to bring in any better ideas, or it may not be impacted. So while the discussion on AI is going on at the boardroom, so only 22% of HR leaders are usually involved in this discussion. Also, currently what's happening is, as we discussed earlier, there is a pressure for operational efficiency. Now, the cost advantage is gone because of no higher competition in the marketplace. So the organizations cannot charge the premium to the customer. So what they are doing is, to be profitable, so they are focusing more on bringing in the efficiency. So there will be definitely a pressure on operation efficiency, and therefore there will be the huge pressure on the productivity of the people. We are also seeing that sorry, Gen Z are coming in bigger numbers. So they are maybe around the age of 22, 25, 26 now. And bigger number of Gen Zs are entering the workplace. And the millennials, so born between 86 and 96, so these millennials are moving to managerial or senior positions. So with Gen Z coming in the workplace in bigger numbers, so there is going to be definitely some generational friction happening between the Gen Z and the other workers. Yes, next slide, please. Right. So I had tried to share the context. Based on that, what would be the priorities for 2024? So I believe the number one priorities would be leader and manager development. So this is going to be a key area. So we'll see the what is the reason why it is going to be key area. Second important thing would be the HR technology. HR technology would be impacting a big way, and so this will be another priorities in 2024. Career management, the both internal as well as hiring internally and externally would be a challenge. Organization culture, as we move from the hybrid workplace or work from home to the working at office. So it is going to be a challenge, and definitely the change management is going to be a further priority for 2024. We'll see all this one by one. So before that, possibly Mr. Siddharth has one poll for us.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I have two, sir. If you don't
Yeah,
mind, I'll
please.
just take about 2 minutes on that. So, audience, I have two polls. I will just quickly launch the first one for you, but this one's you will have to actually redirect to LinkedIn. So, I will request all of you to check your chat. So, I've actually pasted a LinkedIn link for all of you. There's a live LinkedIn poll that's running on our company handle. I'd request all of you to click on this, quickly enter the poll and come back. It will hardly take about 10-15 seconds. For the rest of them, I will just read out the poll. What was the top HR challenge your organization, or it could even be you as an individual from the HR side, that you faced in 2023? Is it employee retention, uh, recruitment and new talent acquisition, diversity and inclusion, or is it employee well-being? So I request all of you to enter your inputs and come back. We can get into the next slide. I do have another poll followed by which we will get into the next slide. Okay, good to see already like 8 votes on that end. Okay, Mr. Sharad says employee retention. I think that's a fair one. In fact, I'm seeing the live percentile difference right now. Obviously, the major chunk is for employee retention and recruitment and new talent. I think these were the two main challenges that most of them faced. Any comments on this, Mr. Avinash?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is expected. If we had asked the same question or maybe 2 years before, so then
Right.
I'm sure that employee well-being would have been the top one.
Okay.
Right. So the organizations have moved away from employee well-being to this.
Correct. As in, it's not something that's overlooked, but it's not a priority, is what you mean to say, sir?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So we'll be discussing same thing in the coming slides.
Right. Okay. A good number of responses on that. I will stop there and yeah, just one more poll and then I think I'll hand it over to you. All right. So, before we get into leader and manager development, now I hope you're able to see this poll on your screen. What percentage of your managers are equipped to lead change? I would like to know this from your end. Is it almost all, or somewhere around 75%, 50%, or 25%? I will leave this on for the next 1 minute. Okay, okay. So it's wavering somewhere between 75 and 50%. 50 to 75 would probably be the range. Okay, great. Okay, I think that should be sufficient. I'll just share the results so that Mr. Avinash can give you some insights, and then we'll get into the next slide. Yeah, and Mr. Avinash, you're able to see this, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I also move to the next slide, and yeah,
Yeah.
if you'd like to say anything on this, or else I will take it down.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Siddharth. Right. So actually, it was same reflection of whatever we saw in the poll. So according to the survey done, so 73% of HR leaders confirm that organization leaders and managers are not equipped to lead change. So I am really delighted to see some of the maybe 10 or 15% of the respondents saying that almost 100% of their managers are equipped to lead the change. So that is a good thing. But in general, when we are into HR, we always always believe or always feel that okay, we can always train our managers better. Right? They are not usually equipped. They are possibly very excellent in their own domain knowledge, but when it comes to leading change or leading the people, somehow they lack. Right? So this is what the challenge. This is again will remain a challenge for HR leaders. So what the reason? So the problem today here is that managers are cracking and they are overwhelmed. So because we expect the managers to be supermen. So there are a lot of burdens given to the manager. They are supposed to be the domain expert. They are supposed to lead the people. They are expected to have discipline, bring in productivity. So there is a laundry list expectation by HR or by the senior management from the managers uh, across the line managers, right? So we have to understand one thing that okay, usually the organization what they do is that okay, when my manager is not equipped or when my manager is not up to the mark, is not able to lead the change or lead properly. So what I do is I send these people, send my managers for leadership training or provide them some training. So only solution I have is that okay, the leadership problem or manager problem, send them for the training. But we have to understand one thing that the training is not going to help here. What's the reason? The reason here is that the managers are cracking not because they lack the training. The managers are cracking because they have got 51% more responsibility than they can effectively manage. So they have got more responsibility than they can manage. That's the reason. It's not that okay, uh, I am not skilled. That's why I'm not able to lift maybe 500 kgs. Only thing is that okay, I can because it is not humanly possible for me to lift maybe 500 or 1000 kgs. So if you train me for maybe 1 month or 10 years also, it will be very difficult for me to lift that weight, right? Similarly, the managers, the training will not help these managers because many of the managers, so almost 20% of managers, they will prefer not being people managers. So according to the survey, this was done by the Gartner. So it says that okay, only 20% of manager they love being a people manager. So the managers they are very happy to till the point they are individual contributor, but it is very difficult for them to lead the team. So that's a challenge, right? So next slide, please. Right. So we have to understand we need to do. So instead of what top organizations are doing actually. So we saw the problem and now we will understand what are the solutions. Right. So number one is the organization need to reset the role expectation. So we need to empower the managers. So it is not the sole responsibility of the managers to do the coaching and development. So the manager should be allowed to find out the resources or allow the employees to go to other people to be trained and for the development. Second thing is Many times it happens that, okay, I find a person who is very good worker, he is excellent in his job. So I burden that person with the responsibility of leading a team. So the person may not be willing to lead a team. So, but because the leading a team or becoming a manager come with the higher perks and higher status and higher responsibility. So people, they usually don't have a choice and they just accept it. So, but it is very important. The organization should allow the managers to self-discover whether they are fit for the role increase, or can they do their the job manageable or not, right? So this the information has to be given. The Just a minute. Sorry. So we need to allow the managers to rediscover whether they are fit for the manager role or not. So this opportunity has to be, and the organization need not be judgmental at that point of time. Although it is easy said than done, but the opportunity need to be given. Right. Third thing is the organization should provide the opportunity by rewiring the managerial habits, the habits of the manager. The managers may be no habituated on doing in a particular way, so we need to provide them opportunity and time. Right, there are two things. One is we have to give them opportunity, and second thing is we have to give them sufficient time so that no the habit cannot be built in one day. So over a period of time, they build a habit and they are capable of becoming a manager. Also, we need to understand that many times the manager are bounded by the low value rules. Low value rules, like for example, what no, they are expected to make ensure that all employees, they are in particular wearing a particular uniform, particular dress, right? Or they are they are expected to ensure that whether the managers, the employees are not taking extended breaks. So the low value rules which are not of any use, they will not impact the productivity. So managers are bothered by these things. So what I want to say here is that because of these issues, because of no, we are not giving opportunities for the managers, they are overburdened. So instead of focusing only on training, so what the managers need to do, what has to be done by the organization, they have to reset the role expectation. They have to rebuild the manager pipeline. Try to take those people who are willing to become managers, not by force. It should be a way of choice. Second thing, we should give time for the managers to build their habits and try to remove these low value rules, which is unnecessarily burdening the managers, right? So these are the important things the managers we need to do in 2024, so that the leadership and managers are strengthened. The Because in the competition, it is very important that the team is led by the right type of leaders, and the managers are trained to train and are giving the necessary tools to lead the team effectively. Yeah, we'll have a poll now.
Yeah, sure, sir. Just one moment. Okay. So, audience, this poll is a rather selective one. This may vary for each one of you. So, select your statement for remote working. Is it adversely impacted organizational culture, or it had no impact at all? Okay. Okay, this is rather interesting. I see there's quite some of them who had mentioned that there's no impact.
Yes, yes, yes. Right.
Okay. All right. That
Interesting poll, Siddharth.
yeah, totally. Let me just end this poll and I'll share. And sir, any comments on this? And Audience, if there's anyone who would like to mention why do you think that there was no impact, that would be really nice. You can also use the chat or Q&A. Okay.
Yes, requesting the members who would like to share.
Yeah, the 6 of them that I mentioned that
Yeah.
there was no impact on the organizational culture. If there's anything that you'd like to mention, I think that would be great.
Okay, no issues. Right, so we'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just anyway move to the next slide so you can stay on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, so according to survey, 41% of HR leaders say employee connection to culture is compromised by hybrid work. So almost 40% they believe that there is impact of hybrid working on the culture. So now let's try to understand the culture, and there are two aspects of it. One is alignment and connectedness. So alignment is like left brain, and connectedness is like no right brain. So here I think by I analyze and I use analytical skills. On other thing, on the other side, I am using emotional side. So when the people are aligned to the culture, so I will say that I am aligned to culture when I know what the culture is, and when I believe that culture is right for us, and I demonstrate our culture behaviors. So I am understanding what the real culture is, but still I am not connected. So I would be connected. I will have the connectedness to the culture when I identify with the culture. So there are two different aspects. Knowing the culture and identifying with the culture is different. I know what the culture is. I am supposed to do this. So I am just doing it because I am supposed to do it. Just for a compliance or because everybody is doing it. I don't want to be the black sheep in this, right? So because of that, so I am doing it. But in connectedness, so when I'm emotionally involved, I really believe, I really identify, I really understand that, okay, this is what it is, then I will have the emotional connectedness with the culture. Right? In case of alignment, I will believe the culture is right for us. I believe that, yeah, so we should have this culture because it is good for us. When I become emotionally connectedness, so I will really care about the culture. I will ensure that I am not going against the culture and neither anybody else is going against. So I will go out of the way to maintain this culture of the organization, right? So in case of alignment also, I will demonstrate this type of culture behavior, whereas in connectedness, I will belong within the culture. So here there are two aspects of it. Culturally, some of the employee, they will just follow the culture. Some of the employee, when they are really having the emotional connectedness, then they will be, they will follow it, they will enjoy, and they will become the huge advocate of this culture. Right? According to survey, so the employee culture connectedness can increase by up to 43% when culture is diffused to work. So it means that, okay, when people are meeting each other, when they are seeing each other, they're in direct contact with each other, right? So then the culture will be, the connectedness would be there. So it is very difficult to have a culture connectedness when we are just, we are doing hybrid working or we are doing remote working, right? And it further says that it can increase by 27% when an employee experience emotional proximity. So emotional proximity is when I am close to my people and we are laughing together, we are having good time, we are sharing jokes, or maybe certain time we are sharing stress also, right? This is how it will happen, right? Okay. Now we can increase. So this is how we understand that, okay, as we are moving away from hybrid and when the people are moving toward full-time office, so it is likelihood that there would be more connectedness, there would be more bonding, and there would be the organization culture could be better defined this way. Yes, next slide, please. Now we will come to the HR technology. So before that, we'll like to have one poll. We'll like to find out.
Yeah. Just a minute. Okay. Audience, I'm sure this should be on your screen any moment. Okay. HR technology used by your organization. Select the right statement. Based on that, I think we can proceed with the slide. Okay. Current and future needs as a majority.
Right.
All right. Okay. Uh, yeah. I'll just end the poll and share the results for a comparative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you're able to see this, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have got 64% of participants who believe that okay, the HR technology used by their organization is matching their current and future need as well. That's good. So we'll spend some time actually. We'll slightly go through HR technology in details and try to understand, and maybe some of the people may like to relook at the option they have chosen in this poll after we complete the discussion.
Yeah. You can go ahead, sir, with the slide. Yeah.
Yeah. So according to survey, 60% of HR leaders are uncertain about the impact of evolving technology. What is going to be impact of generative AI on HR and talent? Whereas 56% of HR leaders confirm their no HR technology, the solution which they are having today is not matching their current and future business requirement. Now the problem today is that HR tech leaders are uncertain about the technology, which technology to adopt. Now next slide, please. So where I would like to spend some time on this slide. So let me try to explain this slide. So this is hype cycle for HR technology. So this is the hype cycle adopted by Gartner. So on the x-axis there is time, on the y-axis there is expectations, right? So what they say according to research, so this is the moment of the technology, how the technology moves. So initially on the first phase, if you can see at the bottom left hand side, so there would be the first phase of innovation trigger. So because of there suddenly somebody find out that okay, this is the problem, and then they come up with a solution. So because of this, the first phase is, then we call this phase an innovation trigger. The problem is identified, and someone is coming up with a technological solution for this. In second phase, what happens is there is a peak of inflated expectations. So usually what happens is once the new technology is in the place or is there in the market, everybody start believing that oh, this technology is going to, it is no, the hen which gives the lays a golden egg. So it is a panacea for all the problems. So huge expectations are linked to the new technology. So usually in the second phase there is a peak of inflated expectation. So we want all the problem to be solved by this new technology. After that, once people started using the new technology, usually then the people start understanding the problems faced by problems in this new technology. So then there is a trough of disillusionment. So in this case, what happened is people are they feel that okay, they're heartbroken. They feel that okay, what we're expecting from this technology is not able to do that, right? So then usually because people start using it and maybe the technology is new, it needs some course correction or maybe some adaptation, so which is quite okay. So in the third phase there will be trough of disillusionment. In the fourth phase, there is slope of enlightenment. So here after this, then people started trying to ways and means to adopt this technology. So they try to find and adapt, and they also try to better ways to use this technology. So then there is slope of enlightenment. And in the last phase, there is a plateau of productivity. So when the technology reaches the last plateau, so usually there we start getting the maximum out of the technology, right? So I will just recap it. So the technology will move into 4 phases. So based on time, initially there would be innovation trigger. So we find the problem, and uh, we have a problem, and based on it, we use some technology, and so we innovate, find some new technology to address the problem. Second is peak of inflated expectation. In that case, what's happening? The people are having huge expectation of the new technology. They expect this technology to solve all the problem or most of the problem they have. The third will be the trough of disillusionment. So where people they feel that okay, what we are expecting of this technology, it is not really doing that. So maybe there was a burden of huge expectations on the technology, and it's not able to solve this all problem. Then there is a slope of enlightenment. Then people start understanding and adjusting, and there is a plateau of productivity. Here we have tried to keep a lot of technologies which are there and which phase they are into. So please understand one thing: the technology which will be used. So different technology will find a different time frame. Certain technology will maybe in 1 or 2 years will reach from the innovation trigger to the plateau productivity, whereas certain technology will take maybe 10 years or maybe more than that. So if it, I will request you to have a look at it, and I'll pause for a minute so that you can have a better look at this slide. Right. Any participant would like to make any comment here? So what we yeah, yes, please.
Audience, if there's anything that you'd like to mention on this slide, you can use the chat, or else we'll go forward.
Yeah, so I think we can move to the next slide.
Yeah.
Right. So based on the lot of technologies which are available today, HR technology available today, so we need to understand which technology is best suitable for our organization, and we need to HR professional need to deploy that. Some of the technology which are going to be much useful in coming days would be AR VR training tools, workforce tracking system. So these are the technology which can be used, but only thing challenge would be around challenge around it would be that we have to make sure that it doesn't compromise with the staff privacy or data protection right. So HR technologies are good, but in a way it should not be very intrusive and cause privacy issues. Next slide, please. Right. So there is other issue which the second last issue for this webinar. So change management is happening at a rapid pace, and it has been happening for maybe the past few years, and it is happening consistently. So the problem today is the employee feel disempowered and skeptical due to continuous change. So there are so many changes happening one after the another. So employees are not getting the time to breathe, as they say, literally, right? So the organizations, they keep on bringing the newer and newer initiative one after the other. So there is a development of fatigue. So what's happening here is there is change fatigue, which is corroding the employee outcomes because of continuous changing, which is expected by the employees. So there is a huge amount of fatigue. Because of that, because of this change fatigue, 42% employee, they have got less intent to stay because they are constantly under stress of changing continuously, and they have got 30% of lower level of trust, right? And 27% of less responsiveness of the change initiative brought in by the management. Please understand one thing here, that as a HR professional, we should understand that, okay, we need to follow that famous formula: unfreeze, move, and then freeze. Right? Give it freeze, bring it change. So in unfreeze, what you do is we bring in change. We do go into change management, then we move it. We bring in that change, and after that we freeze it so that things settle down. So what's happening in many of the organizations? So they are bringing change one after the another without freezing it again. So it is just the organization is in a fluid state. It is not frozen. So we are adopting one change after the second change, and it is continuously happening. Next slide. Right. So it is very important that, okay, the organization must plan for change fatigue risk and build fatigue management into their plan. So as HR, it is very important that we convey this. We discuss with the senior management, the board members, that, okay, it is not advisable to bring change rapidly, and change has to be, we have to provide sufficient time for first change to seep in, to build into the culture, seep it deep into the culture before bringing the second change, right? So continuous changes is causing a lot of change fatigue in the organization, and it need to be addressed. So second thing is that, okay, the challenge here is we are living in the VUCA world, and the things are changing very rapidly. So I'm not blaming the organization at all here that they are bringing in a lot of changes rapidly. So that is the possibly the need of the hour. But consciously, we should also understand that, okay, the people, the workforce cannot change rapidly. So we need to provide them certain certain leverage, certain time, so that no there is they can recover from the change, or there is no change management fatigue. Next slide, please. Or you will have a poll.
I'll launch it after this, sir. That's fine.
Okay, okay, right. Right. So there is a so the other problem faced by the organization is the possibly likely phase would be the career management, internal mobility. Right. What's happening here is that nowadays the organization have made the career pathing, and the career pathing is very strict. So for example, certain organizations say that, okay, you need to spend maybe one year or 1 to 2 years in a particular role before we promote and we move it into the next role. Right. So the organizations are using the outdated career chart or career pathing. So wherein we are not following it is not adapting, like like I mentioned here. So career pathing should be like a satellite navigation. So we tell us that, okay, this on this route there is it is crowded, so there is a huge traffic, so it reroutes to the other route. So then there has to be adaptability. It's not like that, okay, because we have mentioned in the career path document that, okay, the person need to spend 2 years, so the person necessarily need to spend 2 years. There could be a scenario that one high potential worker possibly could be very adept, and would be adaptable, and possibly could be ready to move to the next position maybe within 1 year. So why I should wait for 2 years? So high potential candidate or high potential worker possibly will who is looking after career growth, possibly may leave me in case he's getting external opportunity. So if I don't take care of that, if I don't adapt continuously according to the market, or according to the people, according to talent of the people, so it's going to be challenging. So that's why it is very important that we sit down with our board or senior management and work on the career pathing, and see that, okay, what the career pathing we are having traditionally till now, is it working today or not? It has to be adaptable. it has to be changed. Rather, I will say that, okay, quarterly, if not quarterly, at least half-year review is very, very important because things are changing very fast. As most of you were asking in the query also, that the main challenge faced by each one of us is the talent retention. If we are not able to provide the right career or right career path to our internal people, they may definitely look outside. Right. So can we have poll, Mr. Siddharth?
Yeah, sure, sir, sure. Okay, so I think we have one more slide, right? I believe we have one more. So before that, let me just have this slide poll on. So what percentage of external hiring by your organization is strategically done from tier 2 and tier 3 cities? I'll leave this on for a while. Audience, I'd also like to mention that we're almost coming to the end of the webinar, and we will also have a quick Q&A session for those of you who'd like to interact directly with our speaker. I'll be able to do that as well. So you'll just have to give me a yes or no on chat, or you can raise your hand as well. You can use the raise hand feature, and I'll be able to unmute you and we can interact. Okay, majority is around 50%.
This is a good response, Mrs. Dutt.
Yeah, agreed, sir. I think this should be fine. Let me just in the poll and share the results. So as you can see, a majority is around 50%, while the rest is all around the same. So it's not that it is, completely one-sided also.
Right. Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Over to you, sir. The next slide.
Yeah. So, so as we say that, okay, in the coming quarter, maybe the first quarter of the 2024. So according to the study, so we are having the best hiring sentiment in the world actually. It is highest across the world. 37% of employers are planning to increase their staff strength, right? So there is a huge demand of the workforce in the organizations, right? However, in 2020, also we understood that there were 81% of employers reported difficulty in finding the skilled talent. There was also a good development happening. So there was increased hiring from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So big organizations, they moved into tier 2 and tier 3 and they were very successful. So they found out that, okay, because of cost efficiency, scalability and higher retention from the candidate from this tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So their external hiring was more fruitful and even the salary expectation were lesser. So I feel that, okay, in coming year also, this is going to be the area, this cities, tier 2 and tier 3 cities would be the target areas for most of the, for the corporate India for hiring the talents. So I think this is the end of the webinar today. So this is from.
Yeah, that brings us to the end of the slides, audience. So I hope you were able to get some insights and what we possibly will have for the coming year, that is. Now, I'd like to mention that we will have a quick Q&A session to clear out any kind of queries that you have related to the presentation, or if you have any generic HR related questions for Mr. Avinash, we'll be happy to take them up. I know we've already crossed the time limit itself, but I think we can take about a quick 5 minutes, sir. If that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay. So audience, any queries there is, I think we'll be able to take that up. My question remains, yeah. So we can answer the ones on the chat. In fact, one from Mr. Hari Prasad. Measures to HR from support function to line function.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Colonel Hari Prasad. He asked this same question in last session as well. Right, so I'm not very sure of why you want to move from HR function to line function. Mr. Hari Prasad, in my experience, I would rather say I will make the line manager the HR manager. Rather than the HR manager becoming the line manager, it would be the line manager who is empowered and made the HR manager. I will tell you the reason why I'm saying so. Right? If I launch an initiative, which is a HR initiative, and I expect the line manager to participate in that and implement that, the buy-in would be lesser. If I empower the line manager, right, and I say that it is not the HR initiative, it is your initiative, you launch it, and I have buy-in, and I adapt my HR program according to him, then he will be empowered and he will participate, right? So what's happening is nowadays many times the HR is seen as a human resource as such, right? But we need to move away from it. So we cannot just use and throw it. So HR, the people should not be used as such. So they should be, we should be able to bring in the take advantage out of it. I cannot take the full, extract the full potential of my workers if only as HR I am just, being a staff function and go and they just direct them. So I need to first have a buy-in of the line manager and I involve him and then possibly go do it. It will be very difficult for HR to be present everywhere and to become a line manager. So rather, I will say that as they say, I will be using the hybrid formula. I will make the line manager as a HR manager, right? So instead of the HR manager being present everywhere, I will have the line manager will have a strong buy-in in HR and will participate with HR. I hope I am able to justify that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's answered, sir. Another question, I'm just going through the chat
Yes,
as we
please.
speak. Ms. Shobhan, I believe you wanted to ask a few queries. If you'd like to interact with Mr. Avinash, I'll be able to do that directly, ma'am. Okay, nothing on that end. All right. Okay, great. Okay. A question from Mr. Shivaram. What strategies are in place to attract and retain top talent in a competitive market?
You see, Shivram, to attract the top talent, first thing is the employer branding is a thing which we need to focus on. Right? And second thing is we need to create the employee value proposition. So I should create two things. One thing is external branding. Second thing is internal branding, where I am creating the employee value proposition. For example, if I want to be known as a company which is taking care of employee well-being, so I should give that employee well-being to my people so that I'm able to attract the top talent who are looking for employee well-being. Or if I want to attract the top talent which is looking for work-life balance, then I need to create that internally, and then I need to brand that. So many times I believe that many times we as HR professionals are poor in marketing our efforts or maybe the organization's effort externally. So we need to market. If we are, I'm sure that you are taking a lot of initiatives which is impacting the employees in a very positive way. So I will suggest that you start branding it, maybe by good referrals or good comments by the employees to brand it, and possibly you can use it maybe in the advertisement, in recruitment advertisement. This you can say that okay, my employees are saying like this, right? Use a top talent. So it is on the same line like many of the organizations, they have started using Great Place to Work certification in their recruitment advertisement. So by using this Great Place to Work certification, what they are doing is they are trying to brand themselves as a great place to work, which is able to attract the top talent. So second thing is top talent will come to you for money, but more than that, I believe the top talent will come to you if you are able to provide them or showcase them the good career pathing. The top talent usually are the people who are high potential and they are looking for a growth and leadership, possible leadership or possibly a better career path. So they possibly may you may disagree, but possibly they may not be, the money may not be the only factor which may be able to, with which you will be able to attract the top talent. So if you are able to showcase the career path, you can showcase that, okay, this is what the growth strategy of my organization is, and with the organization you will also grow, and possibly you will be able to attract and retain them as well. Otherwise, if you don't have the internal, second point is, if you don't have internal advocates, your internal employees are not writing very positively on Glassdoor or various social media platforms, it will be very difficult for you to attract the top talent. Second point is, the other point I would like to mention here is the HR need to start doing a lot of networking. So, for example, if you are in a particular industry, so why not the HR managers, HR leaders go into such seminars where this industry experts are available, right? So you are likely to get a good database of the people or talent you are looking for, right? So not only for example, there is if there is seminar on financial aspect, so not only my finance manager goes, I also go with the CFO and attend the seminar and do the networking. So it will you will not believe me that it will create a very, very robust database. This is a strategy used by many of the successful HR leaders. They go, they do a lot of networking. You get invited to such seminars, such get-togethers, and be part of it. So once you are seen and you are available, you are interacting with the leaders, you know exactly who is doing what, and it will also help you in recruitment.
Okay, Mr. Shivaram, I hope that answers your question, sir. All right. So, audience, I would like to mention that we'll have to close the session here as we've exceeded the session. So, if there's any queries, I would be more than happy to route that to our speaker. So, what you can expect from us post the webinar is a post-webinar mailer with the deck itself. That is the presentation that you just saw today, and we will also have the stream link. That is whatever we just had. The webinar will be as a stream link itself. You'll be able to view that anytime you want. So you will also be able to access Mr. Avinash's mail. So any queries that you have, you can directly post that to him and he will be able to take them up on availability. So on that note, I think we can close the session for today. Huge thanks to our speaker on yet another good webinar. Thank you so much for your effort and time, sir, Mr. Avinash.
Thank you, Mr. Siddharth, for coordinating an excellent conducting this webinar.
The pleasure is mine, sir. Thank you so much. And thanks a lot, audience, for making time. I do know that this is, the end of the year and almost end of the week, starting to the long weekend. So it means a lot for all of you to actually have spent time with us throughout the session. So on that note, thank you so much. And we will look forward to seeing you on yet another webinar the next year. So thank you all and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.